So let's have a look at the gift of prophecy. The gift of prophecy. Now, it is a gift. It's not an office. Remember, it's a gift of prophecy. Prophecy is one of the 9 gifts of the Holy Spirit. 1 Corinthians 14 verse 3 talks about the boundaries. To edify, exhort, and to comfort. They're the boundaries. Every one of us can use this gift to bless, to encourage. Every one of us can minister this gifting to one another. We've got to have boundaries. If we haven't got boundaries, we don't know how far to go. We've got to have boundaries. See, there was a survey once. They thought, well, what happens if we take away the school fence? What would the school kids do? So what they did, school kids went into school. While they were in school, they took all the fences down. So when they come out, it's like there's no fences. They didn't know how far to go before they got into trouble. So what they did, most of them, was stay around the buildings because they didn't know how far to go. I mean, you had a few rebellious ones that go, oh, you beauty, I'm out of here. Go as far as they can. But really, see, when we've got boundaries, we know exactly how far we can go. We know what we can do and what we can't do. See, when you go outside the boundaries, that's when we get in trouble. That's when we hurt others as well. I remember this one lady up in North Queensland, and she had been renowned as the church prophet, and you know, she'd given prophetic words that had come to pass, but she wasn't really a people person, and come to the point where no one really wanted to receive personal prophecy from her. So when we go up there, and the pastor says, I want you to teach the church about prophecy. So we did this course up there. She come along to the course. She wanted to probably bolster it, give her part into this. All of a sudden, she realizes, as I'm teaching this, she realizes that, wow, I'm going way over the boundaries. Even though the church had recognized her as a prophet, she wasn't really a prophet. She just had a very strong prophetic gift. And she was going outside the boundaries all the time. And she was bringing judgment, correction. She was doing all these sorts of things. And she realized, oh no, I've been doing this all wrong. So we can be doing something that over and over again. And really, well, no one wants another word for you. So that's okay. Yeah, the prophet's already, not many people like him anyway. Who cares? But if you're doing that to alienate people, then that's not what God is wanting you to do. And so she realized, and she stayed within that, and she understood, that's what I had been doing wrong. Stay within the boundaries. There are house rules. You need to find out at your church, your house, what are the house rules? What if I do receive a prophetic word? Some people think, well, as soon as I get a prophetic word, I got to race up there, grab the microphone off the pastor, and I got to bring the word because, it's on me, it's in me. I got to bring it out. Sometimes you can hold that word. Most of the time, you can hold it for the right time. Find out what. See, I've had words in my spirit for weeks and sometimes months. Sometimes God gives me a face and shows me the prophetic word for that face. And sometimes I haven't seen that face for a long time. So there it is. Or a name. There it is. So sometimes you can hold things back. Hold it back until the right time. And there's some times where I felt I've had a prophetic word for the church, and it's like there's been no opportunity. Sometimes there's no opportunity. It's like, I'm sure there's an opportunity. I've got this. But I found that it wasn't for that church. It was for another church. And I'm glad I didn't actually just make a way, push myself in. See, there's a reason why you didn't get the opportunity. Don't just say, oh no, they saw me coming. They just kept on singing. They just... No, anyway. Find out what the house rules are. I was in one church there, and someone got a prophetic word, And it was a fairly big church, and they were yelling it out at the back of this church. Oh, boy, so like a jackal and nerd, boy. And everyone around them going, yay! And we're going, what was that? So everyone got excited. What? We don't even know what's going on here. See, if God is speaking to the church, he wants the whole church to hear. And so nowadays we have technology that we can go to the front. Now, again, find out what the rules are. You may not be one who is recognized to give a word. So sometimes I'll get people to write it out and pass it on to a deacon or someone like that. And if they don't do anything about it, it's off your head. Come on, don't go up and say, hey, what did you do? That was a word from the Lord. You've done your part. You've given it to them. It's off your head now. And you might continue to do those things until a point comes where the pastor's going, hey, listen, no, I've been reading the words. It's like, they're pretty good. Next time, I just want you to come up to the microphone. Or to the deacon, and he can give us a nod or whatever, or you can just share it with him what it's going to be. See, that's what happens at Christian International there in Florida, because it's a prophetic church. You got thousands of people who are prophetic there, and so people got at different times got words, and so they'll go up there, and Apostle Jane will listen, and if she says yes, then yeah, you're on. If she says thanks, but not now, then you just walk away. You don't get all dejected. It's like, hey, that was a good word. So you don't get a bee in your bonnet just because they didn't pick you. And that's part of walking in humility. That's part of having to die to self. Of having to receive that because they're in charge. They are running the meeting, and whatever they say goes. Don't get caught up with all this hurt and it's like, go and sulk, go and talk about everybody. Find out what the house rules are. And then there'd be times just like, hey, listen, I just want you just to, hey, come up. Every time, even at our own church, at Forever Church, I'll always ask Pastor Brad, is it okay to bring a word? There are rules. And see, this is again, people are watching. Some people who come in and never been part of the church before, and if they see somebody just getting up and yelling out a prophetic word, they think, oh, that's what we do here. And so they'll start to do it. But if they see protocol, they see house rules in order, they will follow the house rules. And so again, there is no hierarchical thing here. Even though, yes, we do have an international ministry, and I could do this anytime, I always pass it by Pastor Brad. Say, is it okay to bring a word now? See, it's about honor. You're honoring the father of the house. You're honoring the person who is leading the people. So find out the house rules. And listen, it needs to be recorded. If God is saying something, let it be recorded so that we can be accountable. Oh, no, we don't want to be accountable. We're just bringing the word. We don't have to be accountable for that, do we? Yes, you're accountable. And so it's going to be taped. And so it's going to be listened to. And it's going to be sent to the intercessors. If God is speaking to the church, then the intercessors, we need to know. What is God saying? He said something about this Sunday morning. We need to get the intercessors together. We're praying for this thing. If it's a little bit off, you might get a call from the pastor. Say, hey, listen, I'll just drop by the office. and he's there to help you. He's not there to come down you like a ton of bricks and say, hey, that was just such a bad word. Don't you ever get up again. You've got to sit on the naughty mat. No, he's there to help you. Receive correction. Receive it. All right. The importance of prophecy. So again, I mean, it's a gift. It's a gift. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to. It's not many, how many years you've been in the Lord. It's a gift. The gift of prophecy. It's a gift. Prophecy is the most edifying of the gift to the whole congregation. You know, one prophetic word. That's why we've got to be careful with this prophetic word, because one prophetic word can bless, one prophetic word can bring such a curse. We've got to know how to use this thing, because it's a very important, incredible gift. One prophetic word can bless a church, can bless a nation. One word. But one word can also cause havoc, can also cause heartache. It's got to be brought in such a right way. That's why we need to be taught. That's why we need to be teaching how to do this. That's why they had prophetic schools in the Old Testament time. Come on. They had prophetic schools of the prophets all around the place. They had to know how to do this. And here we are, 21st century, and it's like schools of the prophets. Some churches don't even believe in prophets anymore. The Old Testament was way ahead of some of the churches today. If you look at the Bible, there's prophets in the beginning of Genesis to the end in Revelation. God has prophets. And if he thinks it's important to have them, and if Paul made sure he established every single church in the prophetic, then I think it's pretty important today. So prophecy, Dr. Bill Hammond says the other 8 gifts are more like the rifle gifts, one-on-one. They just, one-on-one, bang, bang. But a prophecy, the gift of prophecy is more like a shotgun. It can affect a lot more people. Acts chapter 2 verse 17, and it shall come to pass in the last days that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. Your sons and daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, your old man shall dream dreams. We are in those days today. We are in the days right now where God is pouring out his spirit. And we need to know how to move in that. That's why you're here. That's why I commend you for being here. That you want to learn how to use this gift and how to use it properly, how to encourage and to bless and how to edify people instead of bringing them down.